and welcome in to the 15th episode of the Out of Bounds Podcast, back from a week off for our spring break. I'm your host, Josh Carney, joined in studio by assistant producers Adam Clapp and Dimitri George, and our usual guests, Kyle Condor and Dan Wallace. Back again. Fellas, how are you?
I don't have internet.
I do.
This is the 15th episode. We were talking about earlier. What episode were we on?
15?
It's 15.
Today is 15.
It's 15.
Holy hell.
Yeah, we're moving on.
Today is 15.
Why don't we have internet here?
I have internet, Dan.
You gotta get a Mac. Come on.
I know.
Macs
I'm
are horrible.
I'm up. Why are they horrible?
Once you go Mac, you never go back.
I'm not making a comment right there. No.
All right, back to sports. Well, we were off for a week, and during that week, a lot happened. The first half of the show, we're going to be touching on March Madness and everything that went down Thursday through Sunday. I'm sure everyone's brackets in here are completely busted.
Nope. Kind of. I don't know.
Just because you're winning your bracket doesn't mean you're
0-0
busted.
Flyers and the Kings.
What?
Sorry. They're on a roll.
Whatever.
Speaking of the
Go
Flyers,
Sharks.
What? Don't tell me they're on a roll.
Mark McKenna tried to tell me Claude Giroux was going to win the MVP this year.
Oh, my God.
No. I wouldn't go that far, but he has turned it around.
Yes, the only person that's going to win a trophy off that team may be Steve Mason.
Yeah.
Real quick, does that MVP award belong
Without
to
Mason, they would
somebody
be
like
crap.
Does that MVP award belong to somebody like Stamkos right now? Is that
No, because he
he's had
missed
a broken leg all year.
No, I would say MVP goes to...
You have to say Crosby.
No, I'm not.
Then who?
I would say Alex Ovechkin.
Oh God.
Granted, he's minus 300,000, but
Is the NHL MVP like the NBA one? Two players are only in the race every year for like the last 6
No.
years.
No.
Kopitar's up there too right now.
yeah, there's a lot. Anyway, back to basketball. March Madness is in full effect right now. My bracket is completely busted.
Yeah, because you picked Kansas.
I have 7 of them, and they're all busted.
Who fills out 7 brackets?
My mom
Kyle
kept bringing them
Condor.
home from work.
I was gonna do a third because my mom forwarded me the email, and I said no.
Money?
I can't do. Yeah, it was $10. I was like,
Listen,
no.
I at least fill them all out the same. Don't pick 7 different things.
Yeah, I was a different champion in 7 of them.
What's the
5
point of
them are
that?
still left, so.
You live or die by what you believe is going to happen. You don't pick 7 different.
And we all know that I've been saying Michigan State since day one.
What? Just you?
Since day one.
You can go back and listen to the very first episode. Dan Wallace, Dimitri George, and myself all picked Michigan State along with you.
Did we all?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think there's
well,
another
yeah,
state
intern.
that you want to get
I
on.
thought I was special.
And Dan and I are ready to go toe-to-toe with you, my friend, because I got a team.
No, what?
Wichita State. We'll get to them.
Jeez.
I got a team. You think Wichita State's a
it's
joke?
over.
We'll get to it. We'll get
I'm
to it.
literally, when this happens, I'm literally walking out the door. I'm just gonna sit outside.
I have
for like
so
an hour and a
much-
half.
I'll wait.
I have so much firepower to come back at you with because
For
they're
Wichita State?
not. Just
Yeah,
let me get to
What,
it.
did somebody shoot up 500 par yesterday? Is that
Let
what
me
they...
get to it. Let me get to it. First
What?
off,
Did Clay Anthony early hit the golf course and do well yesterday or something? What's the...
it's
No, he just had 35 points.
That's the
all.
only firepower you've got.
No, it's not. You know what? We're gonna start right there. Wichita State finishes
great.
the year 35-1.
35-1.
0-1 in my book.
You say Wichita.
I give them Tennessee and St. Louis.
Wait.
Those are the only other teams that made the tournament. That
You
they
say
played. I'll give them
Wichita
those.
State's overrated. By
No
your
crap.
accounts, because they didn't
No
play
crap.
anyone.
No one.
Then the 1991 UNLV Running Rebels, one of the greatest
probably played nobody
teams
either.
in college basketball of all time.
We're not going back to 1991.
Oh, I am.
with this.
I am.
Just
I'm not gonna
tell him
comment.
that roster.
UNLV had Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, Greg Anthony. Who was the other one?
Greg
I don't
Anthony.
remember.
He's doing what we do
I
now.
could find it for you if I had internet.
I know. I got it. I'll pull it up on my phone. But that team went 34-1.
Okay.
Played the same schedule almost because the Big West was just as bad as the Missouri
That
Valley
was
Conference.
before UNLV got into the Mountain West.
Wow, at least they switched conferences.
And they're considered one of the greatest teams of all time in college
And
basketball.
you really think
Good for
Wichita
them.
State's going to
And
stay
I
in the
probably
Missouri
disagree
Valley?
with that too, but I never saw a 1991 UNLV team play. And it seems like you just named a bunch of players who went to the NBA and were bums.
Larry Johnson was a bum.
Go tell Greg
He didn't win
Anthony.
anything.
Greg
Bum.
Anthony was a bum.
He didn't win anything either. He's doing the same thing we are now.
After a 14-year
Except he's
NBA
getting
career.
paid a lot of money,
He is.
and we're not.
He is. That's what I was going to say about Wichita State. We're over here saying all this crap, well, at least I am, about how they did nothing, how they beat nobody. In 5 months, they're all going to be millionaires. I'm going to be sitting here doing the same thing. But I'll have one thing that they don't have forever.
What's that?
0 losses.
Technically, you have losses because you
No.
played high school
0.
athletics.
Yeah,
and
but
everyone
then-
was all excited about Wichita State being undefeated.
Well, you want to know why you have
Against
0
nobody.
losses? You want to know why you have 0
Because
losses?
I've played nobody, just like Wichita State did.
Because you
Kentucky.
weren't good enough to play nobody. That's why.
Yeah, good. Whatever. They weren't good enough to play in the ACC, which is why they were bragging about beating teams in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Here's my thing, and this is what Dan and I were talking about.
Oh, Lord.
Kentucky was 10 times better than an 8 seed.
Right. I agree.
They're playing arguably the best basketball in college basketball right now.
If not, at least the best basketball they've played all year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that you figured that would happen. Did anyone not expect that to happen?
No.
Now, Wichita State was given no favors by the seeding committee because they had to play
Half of the
Kentucky.
people on that committee need fired.
Yeah, because SMU didn't make it.
There's so many.
UMass was a 6 seed.
There's so many problems this year. It's making for good
Dude,
basketball. but there's so many problems.
Iowa shouldn't have been in the playing game. Like, there's
Well,
so
tell
many
me why
things.
Tennessee was in a playing game too.
Seriously,
I
me
would
either.
rather
Well,
have
they-
the 16 seeds be
all
playing
four of
games.
them. All four of them.
All 4 of them. I mean, honestly, why make teams that are an 11 seed
You know what they
a play
want?
in?
Your money. Nobody's watching the 16 seeds
That's exactly
play.
why.
Well, unless you're a
only
fanatic.
games I was glued to. I mean, Cal Poly was fun to watch, whatever. But the only games I was glued to was the NC State Xavier game and the Iowa Tennessee game. The 11
They got a
seeds.
freshman there at Cal Poly named Ridge Shipley.
Ridge Shipley.
Who's gonna be
Yeah,
a
Yeah.
monster.
the monster. We posted that on the Twitter
and
account.
he ended up doing something with it.
Wait till you see his high school highlights.
What did
Look
he
it up
do?
on YouTube.
What did Rich Shipley do? Favorite it, retweeted. What did he do? Of
He
our
looks
story?
like he's like 12.
He retweeted and favorited our tweet about him.
He literally looks like he's like 12.
Regardless,
Yeah, he's only a
going.
freshman. He's gonna
This
be.
is
he's gonna be good.
completely random.
I still don't have internet.
Duke just landed another 5-star recruit
Great.
for
Yeah,
2015.
that's 6 now.
Luke Kennard.
That's 6.
They need to stop doing that.
Well, you said for 2015.
Are we gonna get way off topic on this?
No, I was just
Is that 2015?
Yeah, to start
Okay,
the
so
2015 class off, he chose Duke over Kentucky and Ohio State.
I want to know where Aaron Harris is going to go now.
Yes. Now we're going to get to that. I don't know. We'll do it right now before we get into the bracket. West Virginia shooting guard Aaron Harris, who averaged 17.2 points per game this year for a pretty good West Virginia team.
Young.
Wants to
very
get
young.
out.
He is now transferring. Has not named where he's going to go or where he's looking.
A lot of players have problems with Bob Huggins.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy was successful. Granted, he lost his star power to Juwan Staten,
You know what somebody told me the other day? Was it Bob Huggins that used to coach at
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati? And I heard that he never graduated a player ever at Cincinnati.
I think the
was
only
there-
one he
I heard never
graduated was
graduated
Kenyon
a
Martin.
player.
I think that was.
Really?
He graduates a lot from WVU.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Now.
I was just talking
no,
to
that's
somebody.
Kyle.
the
That's
other day.
true. That's
Really?
true. He was one of the worst coaches in basketball when it came to graduating his players.
Well, you think about it now, he still has a lot of guys that transfer. I mean, Dalton Pepper was there for 2 years, 3 years.
Where did
or
Dalton
whatever.
Pepper go?
He went to Temple,
Temple.
now, and now he was
Hey,
the high,
that's a
he was the
hometown
leading
boy.
he was the leading scorer in the American Conference this year, 18 something a game.
Yeah. Well, Temple was Temple, but
So,
True.
Dalton Pepper, Pennsbury, New Jersey, holla.
so where do we think Aaron Harris goes?
I was talking.
I got one school in mind.
I want to see what you say.
I think UConn.
Okay.
They're losing their backcourt.
I was talking to Josh Hill today, and we were talking something kind of similar, and it's the American Conference too. And it'd be interesting. SMU.
I could see that.
Go
That would
play
be
for Leia
interesting.
Brown.
Why would you transfer from West Virginia to SMU? I'm not.
Because
questioning-
SMU is a
I'm
better
not questioning
program
your
right now.
credibility. I'm asking. I would just, want you to elaborate a little.
They have a better program right now. They have a great coach with Larry Brown. They're getting possibly 2 of the top 10 recruits coming in this year. 'Cause Miles Turner's still undecided.
Emmanuel Madai is coming officially, and he's the number 2 prospect in the 2014
Yeah,
class.
And
Yes.
Miles
I heard
Turner's
about
Miles
that.
Turner's
Miles
number
Turner, I
1
was
in a
gonna
lot
say.
of people's.
Yeah.
And
Or
he's
no, I'm sorry. It's Miles Turner's 2.
Yeah.
Mudai's 5. I
well,
think.
Miles Turner's number 1 in a lot of people's.
Yeah.
And he very well may go to SMU too.
You could any given day you could flip flop between Okafor and Turner and have the same player in a
Dude,
sense.
you
I'm
put-
telling you that dude Carl Towns is going to be the best player in college next year.
But you put
yeah, I mean
Madai, Harris, and Turner together
Yeah,
at
that could be
SMU with what they already have
that could be a
and
powerhouse.
a fantastic coach in Larry Brown, they'd be out for blood next year considering what happened this year to them, getting snubbed by the committee.
Yeah, I watched some highlights throughout the week of Selection Sunday, and when they had the camera on the SMU team, just dejection. Like, they finished in the top 25. Granted, their strength of schedule was 303rd in the country. Okay, understandable. But you were top 25 at the end of the year. You're not going to get in?
Seriously.
Are
It
you
made no
kidding
sense.
me?
And they're just gonna
And
run
that,
through
how,
the
like,
NIT.
and we talk about how they want to make money. That would have made them so much. They would have been like a huge fan favorite. Everyone was pulling for SMU towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean,
They're gonna run through the NIT with relative ease.
well, I think that's going to be them in Minnesota in the final.
Isn't that going on
Probably.
right now?
Yeah, you and I watched
We're watching
a few
more
games Sunday.
Well, how's Clemson doing? Did they lose the other day? I was watching that for a little bit.
I haven't paid close
Because
attention
that's another
to that.
team that's pretty good in the NIT too.
I don't remember. I know we were watching Minnesota and St. Mary's is who we were watching the other day. And I still like Minnesota. Minnesota's a bubble team that could have very well gotten into, but
They do have
Hey.
talent.
But back to Aaron Harris really quickly before we go to the bracket. The only reason I say that is because they're going to lose Shabazz Napier and Ryan Boatwright. They have Rodney Purvis coming in from NC State that sat out this year.
UConn. That dude Breimer's going to be a force in a couple years.
Amita Brima?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Breimer.
He reminds me of a better Hashim Thabit because he's a shot blocker. Now, Thabit was a good college player. NBA, not so much.
Was to be a star when he was a freshman? Did he do 1 year now? Was that?
I don't think he did one and
It
done.
was
He
him and- I
he
think
it
did
was
two.
Who
I
was
think it
the
was two.
point? His point guard was good. Who was the point guard?
Kemba
for
Walker.
UConn?
Yeah.
Kemba Walker was the point guard.
Yeah,
right.
Kemba Walker. But I think UConn would be where Aaron Harris could land.
There's a lot of teams that I think would want a guy who could shoot the ball like Aaron Harris.
Yeah.
Because West Virginia had such a dynamic 1-2 with,
Here's
with
one.
Harris and Staten. Staten going to the basket and then being able to kick the ball out to Harris.
Here's one.
Pitt.
Sheesh.
Team that struggles to shoot the ball.
Yeah, but that's not
They're
he's
done
not
after this
he's
year.
not a Jamie Dixon type of player.
Well, maybe Jamie Dixon needs to get a new type of player.
Well, you're right, he does.
Pitt's
But
done after this year for a little while.
They've been done for the past few
Lamar
years.
Patterson was their heart and soul. He was like their only hope. And Talib Zanna did well at the end.
a
But
Pitt would be interesting, but do you realize, like,
Oh, he'd get
man,
killed for that.
Oh man, please! If Aaron Harris goes to Pitt, send Pitt just somehow to Morgantown to play a game.
They
next
won't
year.
do it. But
That'd
guys,
be fantastic.
back to the bracket. There were a lot of upsets the first day. One that sticks out in my mind is Stephen F. Austin, VCU. Dimitri, I know you had that game picked. You picked the Lumberjacks?
The Lumberjacks.
How about the end of that game? They're down 4, and VCU fouls the three-point shooter. He makes it, gets the and-1, tie game. And then Stephen F. Austin wins the game. That was a tough way for that game to end for VCU.
Shaka.
Who is
Shaka.
reportedly looking to go to Marquette.
Yeah,
Shaka?
because Buzz Williams just went to Virginia
Tech.
Tech
Ooh.
today.
I saw something that said that Marquette is a stepping stone school for coaches.
It
Oh,
is.
it definitely
but Buzz
is.
Williams was getting paid top 5 in the nation at
Well,
Marquette.
that's only because they didn't want to lose him at the time because
and
they,
they're also
keep in
their
mind-
school relies
yeah.
on basketball.
keep in mind they had just lost Tom Crean to Indiana, who he might be on his way out of Indiana.
So we don't think that VCU was already Shaka Smart's stepping stone? Like, geez, Brad Stevens used Butler as a stepping
Well, I mean,
stone.
here's the thing: Marquette's still in a better conference than VCU is. And
Yeah.
that's part
Plus
of
the
the draw.
fact, I think Shaka needs to get out now because how many seniors does that team have?
4
or 5?
something like
3
that.
in the starting
They're always
5?
built off seniors. He does well with that, I guess.
I think if he's
Recruiting
smart,
players
he
there.
goes this year because he had the opportunity to go last year to, I believe it was
There was a team. I'm drawing a blank.
UCLA. UCLA wanted him.
Yep.
And he said, no, I'm
And
not
they
going.
went with Alford.
Well, and hey, UCLA is in
I've
the Sweet
always been
16.
Yeah, UCLA is going to get run out of the gym by Florida.
I've always had a soft spot for Marquette. I think Shaka Smart gets them over that hump. They've been like a Sweet 16, like round of 32 team year after year with Buzz Williams. I think Shaka Smart gets them over that hump.
What
I love
about
that.
Dayton upsetting both Ohio State and my Syracuse Orange? Archie Miller.
Syracuse Orange.
Archie Miller received a contract extension Monday, the brother of Sean Miller. Some local ties there.
Did you see their president surfing in the crowd at their little?
No, I didn't see it.
After their Syracuse, the school's president was in the crowd. It looked like they said they're celebrating like it was IU Patty's, like it was St.
Oh, good
Oh,
lord.
So
They said that?
yeah, it was like their St. Patrick's Day thing or something like that. So, I don't know, something like that.
Oh, did they really say IU Patty's?
No.
I was about to say.
So
Say holla.
Dayton with an
No
upset.
holla.
Dayton with an upset. You have Stanford making a run. I'm never picking New Mexico again in the first round of any game. I don't care if they're playing the Little Sisters of the
There's
Poor.
3 teams you can't pick in anything. New Mexico to get out of the first round, Pitt to get past the second round, and Villanova to get past the second round. That's it.
I knew Creighton
Or
wasn't
Duke
gonna
in
get
the first
anywhere
round
with
lately.
it.
Oh, man, Duke in the first round,
What
too.
is Duke's
Oh,
lost in the
yeah.
first round, 3 out of the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Lehigh.
with C.J. McCollum, who's an
Yeah.
NBA player now.
Now you got Mercer.
They had didn't they lose to VCU?
Yes.
They were
Yeah.
six. It was a
Yes.
six.
I think it was the second round first
No.
weekend.
Yeah, because wasn't VCU an 8 that year?
VCU was an 8. I'm almost 100% sure.
I'm pretty positive that was the year that Duke was a 6.
Yeah,
You know
close
what it
enough.
might have been.
Close
Yeah,
enough.
because VCU was an 11 that seed. You're right.
Close enough.
So you can't pick Duke. You're right. Pitt always out in the first or second round. I don't care who they play.
Villanova.
What
Texas
was it?
is usually going pretty early.
What was it? 3 years ago, they lost to Butler
Who?
on the first day.
No,
Pitt.
they lost to Butler on the second round because they were a 1 seed that year.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
they were 1 seed.
So that takes care of that region. I don't even know the names of the regions. Is that the what is that?
That's the South. That's
Okay,
the
yeah,
South. There's
that's-
not much. There wasn't much out in the East.
In the East has kind of gone as we expected. Harvard over Cincinnati. Although I picked Cincinnati, it's a mistake. When Kilpatrick doesn't play well, the rest of that team just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like
Harvard's
Pitt. It's
good,
just like
too.
Pitt.
yeah.
If
Harvard
Patrick-
is good.
Yeah, Tommy Amaker is a hell of a coach.
You know who Siani Chambers drives me nuts with his body language. I swear he looks like he's gonna cry half the time. When at the end of the game, I just see him pout. I know he's Harvard and they had a nice little run, but even last year I remember I think they played Duke last year,
I think they did.
and his body language drives me
That
nuts.
kid Rivard for them could shoot the lights out of the
Number
gym.
10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laurent.
Yeah, Laurent
in the corner. Don't leave.
Rivard.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, Laurent Rivard.
And then,
finally got it.
I mean, the favorite to come out of the East for me right now, I know we've been riding the Michigan State train all year long.
State looks
Iowa
Iowa
State,
State
looks incredible without Georges Niang.
Because they have two stud big men in
Well,
Ejim and Kane.
Kane isn't he local around here?
6'4"
Shenley High
product
School.
from
He was-
Shenley High School.
Whether it was an assist or a bucket, Kane was responsible for 15 of their last 17 points yesterday.
DeAndre Kane,
There's something to be said there.
and get this, he was supposed to transfer from Marshall to Pitt. But either he spurned Pitt or Pitt said, no, we don't want you. And if it was the fact
I
that...
think it was the latter.
And I think if it was Pitt said, no, we don't want you, I'd fire Jamie Dixon on the spot right there. But I think it was Kane saying, I don't want to go there. To me, he's one of the best players in college basketball. I think he plays a huge role at the next level in the NBA because he's a 6'4" guy that can rebound, pass, and score in multiple ways. He impresses me. I would love to see, I have it in my bracket. I want to see Michigan State, Iowa State matchup in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see that matchup, but I'm going to go back to something you said that DeAndre Kane's one of the best players in college basketball. I definitely agree. I'm surprised that Melvin Ejim won Big 12 Player of the Year over him, his own teammate.
Yeah, I think the 48-point game against...
Yeah, that was like a little...
Who did they play? Was that TCU?
I forget.
It was TCU.
I remember
Yeah.
it too.
I
but-
think he-
Ejim, don't get it wrong. Ejim is.
Oh, they're both beasts, but...
Ejim.
He's
it-
hit or miss.
If it weren't though for the fact that conference had Embiid, I'd probably call Ejim the best big man in that conference this year.
And speaking of Embiid, he could be the Big 12 Player of the Year because Kansas just completely shit the bed without him. Andrew Wiggins, 4 points?
Was
Really?
it 1 of 7
Dude, he
shooting?
didn't even look like he cared. And I'm just sitting there. I'm next to my dad who doesn't know that much about college basketball, but he knows enough. And I'm like, I wanted Kansas to win so bad, and I'm like, this is disgusting. I can't even watch this kid play anymore. It didn't look like he cared at all. It looked like he had that mentality. I'm going to the NBA after this game regardless. So win or lose.
He didn't give a damn.
No expression. He looked like Kawhi Leonard out there. Not a single smirk or frown on his face
Hey,
at all.
Kawhi Leonard's good.
He's great, but he doesn't make any emotion whatsoever.
Sometimes
Silent
those
assassin.
are the best players at
Well,
times.
It's going to be interesting to see what some of these freshmen do.
We're gonna
Dude, Jabari looked heartbroken. I love that.
I
love that.
Jabbar, I
love
mentioned
to
this
see
to
that.
Dan. I think he comes back.
Oh, and
I wouldn't doubt it. I
Juwan will
would
just
love
cut down
it.
the nets now for Duke.
Oh, God.
You might as well.
I
You
mean,
never know how that many freshmen are going to mix. Look
Kentucky's
at Kentucky.
Kentucky's only won one title.
only Michigan did that.
With-
No,
They didn't
I
win
know.
anything either.
Oh, but
But-
if they have... Well, Rodney Hood's gone. Quinn
Yeah.
Cook's gone.
Oh, speaking of which, in the ACC, TJ Warren announced today.
Yeah,
he's
he's
on the
going
draft.
Yep.
All right, it's smart. Why would you go back and waste your talents at NC State?
Yeah.
Unless they got a good
Doug McDermott
recruiting
kept
class.
Going back, but he wasn't an NBA player, so.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that game, we're going to get into that one as we move to the Midwest.
Well, can we pick our what we thought was the most surprising?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
All right. I'll let you. I'm
Baylor,
excited.
to me, and I give credit to Dan.
Scary.
Baylor, he picked Baylor to go to the Elite Eight, and I told him he was nuts. They look incredible. Jefferson and Austin look great down low.
Kenny Cherry's finding his game again.
Yeah, and the thing that kills me about Austin, he can shoot too. He's a 7'1" player. I mean, he alters shots at the rim. He can knock down 18-footers. He's awesome to watch, and I kind of hope Baylor makes a run.
Beating your Fighting Kaminsky's? You want to see him beat your Fighting Kaminsky's?
They're not my fighting. You know my team in the Big Ten is
I
Michigan
know.
all the way.
Yeah, but you've been on that Wisconsin bandwagon
Well,
all year.
because
And that's
usually
your only team left. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Wisconsin, year after year, they, to me, play a style like Cincinnati, like slow the ball down. We're going to beat you
Well,
scoring
Bo
44.
Bo Ryan's gonna play defense first. He
But
always
this
is.
year, Kaminsky, Decker, Jackson, they're scoring, 72 points a game?
something like that.
Unheard of for Wisconsin.
Something like that because they can just pull up from half court and knock it down.
Yeah, and obviously, we're going to probably talk about Mercer at length. Jacob Gallen was pretty good in that game against Duke. How about the Atlantic Sun Conference? Two years in a row, upsetting squads in the first round.
What was it? Georgetown last year was Florida Gulf Coast. They beat Georgetown. Duke
And then
this
who
year.
did they beat after Georgetown? Because they went to the Sweet 16.
They would have played. They would have played a 7 or a 10. I don't remember.
Neither do I. But I mean, Florida Gulf Coast made a run to the Sweet 16. Keep in mind, Mercer did beat Florida Gulf Coast just to get to the tournament, to get the at-large bid.
Langston Hall is a beast for that team too.
Yeah, that team impresses me. I like the coach though. After the game against Duke, the sideline reporter said, where do you guys think you can go? And he literally said, with these guys, I don't think anyone can beat us. And he was so overjoyed and passionate. I love that coach.
Jimmy Valvano, NC State stuff.
That's honestly, that's who I thought of when I was watching that. I was like, wow, that guy reminds me of Jimmy V. Just with his passion. Like, no one's going to beat us with these guys out on the court. It was awesome, but they were overmatched against Tennessee down low. Physically, they couldn't hang with Tennessee. It happens.
They didn't shoot the ball anywhere near as well as they did against Duke, and that
No.
it happens.
And then the West, nothing really surprising. Maybe Gonzaga, Oklahoma State. A lot of people had Oklahoma State moving on.
Me.
I mean, Baylor's surprising out of that West a lot. The way they beat down Creighton.
I was just going to say, I understand why you think it's surprising, but I personally don't. This team was ranked 7th earlier in the season. Looking
Baylor?
at it now, actually.
Yeah.
Baylor, yeah.
It was back in January 6th, which means they were playing strong.
Well, they beat Kentucky
right.
this year.
So they were playing strong during out-of-conference play, and that's what the NCAA tournament's
They
all
had
about.
one of the strongest out-of-conference sketches. I think
Yeah.
they were in the mid.
And they were
mid-teens.
and they were
Problem-
12-1 on January 6th.
Their problem is they played in the best conference in college basketball this year, and all those teams did was beat up on each other. That's why nobody got a high seat.
And how about the last two teams left out of the Big 12 were the two teams that met in the Big 12 tournament championship?
Wonder if that says something about those two.
It does. It does. Iowa State and Baylor, head and shoulders above anybody else in the Big 12.
Yeah, you can say that now with the way Kansas played against Stanford.
Yeah, and I mean, Oklahoma State, I know Digger Phelps had them going to the Final Four, and I laughed. I was like, are you
wanted
kidding
that
me?
to happen too.
No, don't get me wrong, so did
I
I.
was
But
going with my heart there a little bit, hoping that would happen.
that game was
Poor Marcus Smart.
awful.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that game was
That was
awful.
one of the hardest games. Not just like
80 fouls.
I'm
I was about to say.
not because of the way Oklahoma State played.
Give me real quick. Where do you guys think if Marcus Smart goes to the NBA, and he probably will? Give me his draft stock now.
8 to 12.
I'd say 7 to 9. I think he could land somewhere, say Sacramento.
All I'm saying is it
Orlando.
better not be top 5, and that's what it was.
He's not
before
going to
the
be.
year.
He's not going to be.
I'd say he drops all the way almost to 10 to 15.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I think he's still top 10 pick.
I'm upset if my team gets him, because what position is he really?
He's too small to be a 2.
Yeah, and
How about the
he's
number
and he's
of
not
Marcus-
quick enough to be a 1.
the
So.
num-
He could be a Ron Artest.
Yeah,
He's
punching
built like
people in
Ron
the
Artest.
stand.
No, he's the opposite of Ron Artest. He's the
I
opposite.
like
He's
that,
going to get
Adam.
fined once a game for flops. We saw the Marcus Smart flop counters everywhere during the Big 12.
I don't think he's a good NBA player at all. I like Marcus Smart and what he's all about and his passion and whatnot, but
Maybe he comes back.
You never know. He
might
could
come back.
He could.
I doubt it. It
That'd be
didn't look like
interesting.
anybody on Oklahoma State wanted to be out there. I say they all. I don't know how big their roster is, but say it's 12. I think all 12 of them go to the NBA, drafted or not.
All right,
Drafted
Travis.
or not,
All
start
right,
clean.
Travis Ford, we're gone. See it. Build a new team.
I'm
All right, but guys, biggest upsets of this weekend. I'm sure people are going to throw out the Daytons, the Stanfords, the Mercers. Dimitri, who you got?
Being a Duke supporter, I have to go Mercer. Duke just looked bad. They didn't look like a Final Four, let alone a Sweet 16 team at all. Jabari struggled, I thought. Their defense was absolutely terrible. I haven't seen Duke play Coach K defense since they won the championship in 2010. And I don't know. I don't know what to think of the future of this team. Like I said, if Jabari comes back, I mean, on paper, they look like the team that's going to win it all next year. But again, Mercer, I thought, had an edge with the experience that they had. I think they had all 5 of their stars were seniors.
They had 7 total.
I think all 5 of their stars were seniors.
All five, and then
the seniors always want it more. I mean,
they had this, and Duke was filled with freshmen and sophomores, and I think Quinn Cook's a junior.
Yeah. I don't think they had any seniors on Duke. It was the first time in.
I think no. I think he's a junior.
No, was it Dawkins?
Harrison, and I think Harrison and Dawkins, number 15 for Duke. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I had to go with that. Mercer completely dominated Duke. I thought. I didn't think even when Rashid Suleiman was bonkers in the beginning, I still didn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. Dan.
Bonkers. Are we going with biggest or most
surprising?
To you, the biggest / most surprising.
The most impressive to me is Dayton because they did it twice.
By a bucket each.
That's the reason it's the most impressive to me. They beat Ohio State, and then they went and beat Syracuse, too. I like what Stanford did against Kansas, but you got to think they played a New Mexico team that was
just out there.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, Williams, Bairstow, and Kirk, arguably one of the better 3 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of that team, New Mexico's awful, the rest of that team.
Yeah.
And when 2 of those guys don't show up, the third can't carry the load for everyone. And they fell apart against Stanford. But Kyle, what was your biggest surprise?
It's gotta be Dayton for me too.
Yeah.
Like Dan said, they went through Ohio State and Syracuse, so it's not like they had a cakewalk by any means because they were playing against seniors. And like I just said, seniors weren't the most. They beat teams full of seniors to get where they are. I did have Dayton going to the Sweet 16 in one of my 7 brackets.
So that one's doing well.
Unfortunately, the rest of it is garbage.
But then in the one we all did, he had Ohio State in the national title. So
What?
Yeah, you got to take risks. But I also have Tennessee in the Elite 8, so if that happens, I want you all to,
You're working there.
But no, I like Dayton as my most surprising because I'd said time and time again that Syracuse is going to lose to a team with big men because they really didn't have a true center. Dayton didn't really even have a true center either. I think they're big men that actually do something.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah, what was it? It was like 6'7", 6'6". Like that's their scores right there.
I think.
And they handled Syracuse's zone by shooting threes and facilitating a little bit, wasting time when they had the lead and whatnot.
One thing I hate though about what the media has been doing with Dayton is how out of proportion they're blowing Archie Miller. I heard somebody say that they were surprised that Archie Miller was that good of a coach. And I'm like, do you look at his family lineage of his brother's the head coach at Arizona and his dad is a high school coaching legend in Western Pennsylvania.
Anybody catch that really awkward interview he did with CBS?
I did not see it. I heard about it.
Who's the host of CBS?
Which one?
I can't remember.
I can find out.
Just try and look it up. James Brown?
Might be James Brown, but
the
dude did the most awkward interview. It was it was like Ken Griffey Jr.-esque. It was like, oh Lord.
What I don't understand is how you're going to be surprised that Archie Miller's that good of a coach with the family that he has.
Yeah, to me, that's sometimes people in the media don't pay attention. My biggest upset to me, it's Mercer, but Dayton, I'm not really surprised by them playing well because a few years ago they won the NIT. Mm-hmm. Archie Miller again, great coach. The thing that killed me about Syracuse, I'm not making excuses. Trevor Cooney was awful second half of the year. Everyone thought, he's back against Western Michigan because he had 18 points and just shot the ball really well. I think he was 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. And then he comes out in the next game and just clank after clank. But there was a play in the game. There was a media timeout, okay? During that media timeout, the officials went back to the monitor and went back in time, 2 minutes and 37 seconds worth of game tape, and looked at an elbow that Trevor Cooney hit Deshaun Pierre in the face with in a basketball play. They went back that far, Kyle. issued a flagrant one. Pierre shot 2 free throws, and Dayton got the ball. And keep in mind,
Wait,
Syracuse.
they did give him a flagrant.
Yeah, they gave him a flagrant.
What?
It was a play. It was a basketball play.
I was watching that game with no sound at the time. They
It was
gave
a
him
basketball
flagrant
play.
on
It was
that.
a flagrant one.
Don't even know why you were watching with no sound, but
He probably had
I had
another game on
multiple
sound.
games on.
There you go. See, that's what you do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I had no TV.
I had one TV down at the beach, and I had one game on, and it was the Syracuse game. I didn't have Wi-Fi.
You didn't have no Wi-Fi?
Nope, Wi-Fi.
They gave him a flagrant?
They gave him a
I
flagrant
thought that
one.
they were going to give... I mean, if it were the NBA, I thought they should have gave the other dude
A
freaking-
flop.
A flop.
Yeah, but they gave Dayton they gave Cooney a flagrant one, 2 free throws, and the ball. And keep in mind, Syracuse lost by 2 points. So it was really frustrating. I mean, I'm not making excuses for Syracuse, but that's to me. And Adam, you're gonna have to bleep this. That was a bunch of bullshit.
Well, that's the second time.
Wait,
where
where are we? Okay. We're good.
Anyway, but it's not just that game they're doing. It was the end of the Iowa State UNC game yesterday, where DeAndre Kane scored the winning bucket with 1.6 left. Clock operator didn't start the clock on time. Marcus Page calls timeout with
hold
0.4
on.
left. They go back to the monitor again and say, no,
Oh,
game's
nope.
over.
See ya.
They're doing too much with these monitor stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing too much. It's slowing the game down.
And if you go back and watch that, sorry to jump in, Kyle. You go back and watch that. Kane hits that basket, and Roy Williams is just running down the sideline yelling timeout as the ball is going through the net because he knew Kane made it. And the ref ran past him.
What they're doing, though, with the monitors is just too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's
Imagine what's going to happen in the MLB this year.
nah.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
There's
I
gonna
think
be-
it's going to be worse.
I think it's going to be similar
They're
to
gonna
the
have
NFL.
electronic umpires soon.
Probably, honestly.
Yeah, which I'll hate that.
There's
Yeah,
going to
you
be
too.
Take the
there's
human
going to
element
be a holographic strike zone, and there's going to be a sensor on the ball that when it goes through that holographic strike zone, it's going to be the ball is strike.
No,
way,
take the
dude.
just
Forget
just
that.
take more jobs away. Why don't you?
So
Seriously.
guys-
No, but I have a good officiating question. What do you guys think about that Aaron Kraft? Remember when they called the hook on him at the end of
Oh,
the
that
game?
flagrant was it the flagrant on
No,
him?
it wasn't actually. Did they
It was
call
intentional.
When
They
he
called
ran
it-
They called it
around-
intentional
Yeah, it was
foul.
intentional. He didn't go for the ball. He grabbed
Yeah.
him around the
All right.
waist.
Wait, no,
If there was
they
a-
called that a flagrant because
Did they
Charles
call it?
Barkley was arguing that
Oh
on
yeah,
TNT.
they did because they said it was just because it was a non-basketball play.
If there was a bigger Aaron Kraft fan out there other than me that day, I was like,
It was
I'm
a
not a
good.
big
I
fan
didn't
of
want-
him.
It was a good
I
call
love
though
that
because
guy.
he wasn't going
It's a
for the
baller.
ball. He wasn't going for the ball. He was just trying to stop the play.
I don't think it was an intentional foul. It
Yeah.
wasn't a clear path foul. It was an intentional, but it wasn't a flagrant.
does he get drafted? Aaron
Yeah,
Kraft?
yeah, he's going to be a guy off the bench though, defensive specialist, but he's
You
not
think-
going to be a starter.
Yeah, he
I would
could-
be shocked
dude,
if he works
gives-
his way into a starting
You know, I
job.
love my 100% go all out players.
Oh, I know you do.
Dude, he's played 29 minutes on average or more since he was a freshman.
Oh yeah,
Sheesh.
he's one of the better point guards in the country. Not scoring, but defensively. I honestly thought he was going to hit that runner.
He was scoring a little bit in the other game. He just wasn't taking that many shots. But he finished with like 18.
I thought he was going to hit that runner just because it's Ohio State and
Man,
Aaron Kraft.
Wouldn't that have been something?
And I thought Tyler Ennis was going to replicate the pitch shot and hit that
Okay.
running 18-footer. It looked
Yeah.
good, but hey, that's March Madness. But guys,
Still, madness is an understatement.
yeah, I know.
I think the real madness here is I just did the math for Kyle's like bracketology insanity. You made you could have made almost 194,000 different brackets with the 7 different brackets you did.
What do you mean?
So I
You
was
could have
just
had
doing
194,000
the
different picks.
variations you could do on it and the amount of
Yeah, but I
choices
hate
you
that,
could have
'cause
made
obviously,
for
I
a
hate
single.
that. And then you have your people I was saying this to somebody the other day how Warren Buffett was going to give $1 billion to a perfect bracket.
And
Can't
there was-
some fiends out there they have these kids working in sweatshops in China. Why don't they have them working in sweatshops doing
We shouldn't have kids working in sweatshops anywhere. What are you
I mean,
talking
why
about?
don't they all have them fill out a bracket? There's $1 billion
Some
right
of them
there.
don't even know what basketball is.
There's
so.
$1 billion right there if they all make a different
The
bracket.
thing is, though, is
Half of them are making the basketballs. Is the problem.
No, they're making the Nike shoes.
they're
that are
making
used
the
for
paper that
basketball.
the brackets are printed on. Okay.
All right, no, we're done.
But listen, when Warren Buffett announced that, I said no one's gonna get a perfect bracket, so he's just throwing it out there.
Mathematically, it has to be possible.
Here's my
It is
money. No, it
possible.
is possible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
People have done it before.
But again,
But if
There
you
has to be one every year, I think, with the amount of people who put brackets in.
not.
on
I want
ESPN
Buffett.
and
I
stuff.
want Buffett
Really?
to put $1 billion
maybe
in
there
the
was,
pot
but
every
it could have
year.
just been in a
Hold
works
on.
pool, though. There's a chance that there has been a perfect bracket.
I know
just
just on
ESPN.
ESPN alone there were 11 million brackets. None of them were perfect.
No, yeah, it's possible. People have done it before, but it's so improbable.
Yeah. But I know everyone's going to say the number one seeds, Florida, Arizona, Virginia, all look good. I want a team off the radar, in a sense, in the Sweet 16 that you think has a chance to make a Final Four run.
Don't just skip me because you know who I'm gonna say.
Well, the
I
people don't
want
know what
someone
you
outside of Kentucky from you, Dan.
You know who I'm gonna say. It's not gonna be Kentucky.
I know.
I want to hear who you're going to say.
No, I'm gonna say Baylor.
Okay. That's what I figured.
That team has so much talent.
UCLA's on a tear. Dude.
UCLA has nobody outside of Kyle Anderson and Jordan Adams.
It doesn't matter. That's all you need at some points.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
then when you
they're
run into
deep
teams,
enough.
when you run into teams that can go 5-6 deep in scoring, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
They're gonna give Florida a run this week.
I'm not gonna say
they're
they're
on
not gonna.
fire.
I'm not saying they're not gonna play Florida well,
No.
Then again, they've only beaten Tulsa and SF Austin to get here, so.
but
They beat Arizona a couple of games ago.
they are a good team. UCLA is a good team. They're just not as deep as some of these other teams are.
Ooh,
Kyle, is that your favorite?
Yeah, I like
UCLA?
UCLA a lot. I think they can make a run.
Dimitri, who you got?
I think they can make it to the championship game, honestly.
Don't even. I'm about to be drawing right now, but
Go ahead.
What?
I'm gonna say Tennessee.
Oh,
I'm
like
fine with that.
Tennessee, too.
I'm fine with that. I
They
really
have
like that
ballers.
team right now.
Let me
like-
rephrase
I
that.
like-
I don't like Tennessee, but I like them as a team.
I don't like anyone in the SEC, but if I had to pick a squad that I'm going to follow, it's going to be Tennessee because it has little to do with Orange.
Wait,
Um,
isn't every SEC team that made the tournament still left?
Yep, Florida,
Yeah,
Tennessee,
they're 7-0.
Kentucky. They SEC still has 3 left. Pac-12 still has 3 left, and the Big Ten still has 3 left.
You guys may this isn't off the radar in a sense, but
Where's your Big 12 at? Oh no, which one did you say was the best?
Big
You
12
said
is the
Big
best
12.
conference of college basketball. They still have 2 left. They still have Baylor and
Yeah, 2 of like the whole conference.
7.
The ACC has 1.
Whatever. I didn't
They
say
had
the
4
ACC was
lose
the
in like the
best.
first round.
I didn't say the ACC was the best.
That's a lie. You tried to tell me before the ACC.
who did you say was the best
I didn't
conference?
say a best conference, but Dan, the big hit producer, before the Big Ten conference tournament, the question I had to answer on the big hit was, does anyone have a chance at beating Michigan in the Big
Wait,
Ten
I'm not
conference?
talking about the Big Ten being. I was talking about the Big 12. Yeah, okay, that was the question. Michigan was
the favorite going into that.
Yeah, but
race.
he
Yeah,
said
but they
the
were the-
question was, does anyone have a chance at beating Michigan?
Okay, and the answer was yes.
Clearly,
Michigan State, that's
but then
it.
I had Vaughn Dalzell to my left saying nobody has a chance at beating Michigan. What?
Hey.
Anyone can beat anyone in conferences like that.
You're right, but I agree with Dan. I think the Big 12 was by far the best conference of basketball this year. If the ACC would
We
have
had 7
fulfilled their
teams get in.
if the ACC would have fulfilled their regular or preseason,
Hype.
projection,
You know
hype,
what? I like the Missouri Valley Conference.
that's fine.
Wichita State tore it up. Indiana State, Evansville, great teams.
Hey, how dare you disrespect the home of Jerry Sloan, Evansville?
It's really
How dare
hard
you.
to like
Care.
communicate your sarcasm
Yeah.
through this. I just
That
want
was
you to
all
know.
sarcastic.
Hey, I'm just saying,
The
the
Missouri Valley
numbers-
Conference is a joke, and Creighton was out of there in a heartbeat.
The numbers comparing the Big West in '91 to the Missouri Valley this year is the same, and one team, UNLV, is considered one of the greatest college basketball teams of all time, and they played a similar schedule to Wichita State.
Yeah, whatever.
Numbers don't lie, remember?
You're right, but they lie when you only beat 12 of your 35 wins.
UNLV only beat 14
Hold on.
teams.
I just read that.
Oh,
I think
boy.
12 of Wichita State's 35 wins were against teams over 500. That's a joke, dude. Who were you playing?
They don't control their conference.
Okay, but
And
I'm
listen-
not okay, and I'm not coming at. Actually, I could say something about Greg Marshall because why weren't they playing good teams? You said teams were ducking them, so I'll leave it at that.
It came out that there were teams like
But you're-
Louisville, Michigan State, I believe it was Kentucky,
Kentucky almost
Indiana.
lost to them yesterday.
You're not
and
gonna
who was
have
the other
me-
one?
You're not gonna let me sit here.
Arizona, all ducked Wichita State in non-conference because they saw how good that team was.
And then I'm saying all this stuff about they don't play teams over 500, and then what happens? First round of the tournament, they play a team that's 14-19.
Well, they can't control that.
Sheesh,
Hey,
I
that's
know,
an
you
at-large
just
bid.
said They
Kentucky
can't control it, but what we
No,
can
Cal
control,
Poly.
what we
Okay.
can control is what we say about the team, and everyone was freaking out. Wichita State's undefeated. You know how many other teams could have went undefeated with that garbage schedule?
Kyle, listen, nobody picked Wichita State to win the tournament.
Yeah, I stayed away from them. I picked them to lose to Kentucky.
Good.
So did I, but nobody's denying the fact that this team still went 34-0,
Only-
35-0 before they lost.
Freaking denying it.
I see three.
You can't deny the fact that they went
They
35-0.
went 0-1 in my book. In 10 years,
What they do?
What
Play
Wichita
35
State
exhibition games?
yeah, 35. No, because they played St. Louis and Tennessee. Woohoo!
Hey, two teams that are NCAA tournament bound.
Yeah.
I think San Diego State can make a run because Steve Fisher is my boy from the Fab Five.
Yeah. We know you're still obsessed. We know that you were born in the wrong generation.
So what? So what? Who cares? I have Michigan State over Louisville in a championship game in my bracket that's still doing well. I think you have the same thing.
Yeah, well, you had Kansas in mind. So.
Well, yeah, because I wanted to switch it up.
Well,
Dimitri, who'd you have? Is yours still looking good, or did you have Duke in the championship game?
I had Duke in the championship game.
Of course you did.
I had Duke in the championship game, but then I had Kansas as the Final Four team. So 2 of my Final Fours are out. I have Michigan State and Wisconsin.
You're doing well. You're doing well.
What I would like to see.
Give me your final game of your bracket that you did first. I don't want all 6.
I had Michigan State Duke. To be honest with you.
Okay, well, you're still doing well.
I shouldn't have done that because you guys know how much I've been hating on Duke all year too.
Yeah.
So I did not go with my heart on that one.
Yeah,
and I
what are you
should've.
doing?
I don't know. I guess I was just right in the bracket. I was like, Duke could beat this team. Duke could beat this team, but they didn't even beat the first one. So I had Michigan State, Duke, but by the looks of it now, what I'd like to see would be Michigan State, Kentucky, because that'd be just star power everywhere, or Michigan State, Louisville too would be cool.
I'm with you. I'd like to see Michigan State, Kentucky.
That'd be really cool to watch, but we haven't gotten that all tournament. I think it's going to be Michigan State, Arizona.
Well, how about all right, real fast. Best Sweet 16 matchup, most intriguing. Louisville, Kentucky.
Michigan, Tennessee for me.
But Louisville,
I know.
Kentucky.
That's
you
a
put
great
two
it's-
arch rivals.
Excuse me,
There's
it's
so many good ones.
Louisville.
Sorry,
Louisville.
Louisville and Kentucky.
Because I said I was down south and I said
Is that
Louisville.
really?
Yeah, they
and
yell
the
at
lady
you.
was like, "Excuse me, it's Louisville." I was like, "Oh,
They yell.
Hey.
It's just like calling Lancaster Lancaster.
I'm sure non
Right here, Dan Wallace.
What?
2 middle
People get
fingers
upset
in the
with
air.
that. I don't understand.
In the booth.
No, they
2
really
middle
do. My
fingers.
roommate's from Lancaster, and Cody Benjamin.
It's Lancaster.
Cody,
it's
how do you say it?
Lancaster.
How do you say it?"
I say Lancaster. There you
And they
go.
also ask questions and statements. You going out tonight?
Oh yeah. Oh it's
Yeah?
awful. It's awful. I hate it.
What do
I
you
can't
care? All right.
But no, I like.
Did you watch the show last night?
Yeah, I like Iowa State, UConn. Why is that not just as intriguing, if not more intriguing?
Kane
than every
against
other?
Napier.
Yeah,
Right.
but the reason I'm
Okay,
saying
yeah.
Kentucky, Louisville is because you have the players there, and then
And
you have
in-state.
that bitter rivalry.
Oh yeah, that's
between
great.
those two.
That's great.
They've already had.
Calipari, Patino, arguably.
Oh,
the
I
two
hope
best
we get a
coaches in the
handshake
game.
in basketball like Schwartz and Harbaugh.
Well,
I want to see those
listen,
two
no
go at
way.
it.
those two face each other every year.
I don't care.
They're not going to do
Someone
that.
throw an elbow when you're walking through the line.
That's not
Hopefully it's Calipari because
It'll
I can't
probably
stand
be-
Rick Pitino.
It'll probably be if somebody's throwing elbows. It'll be Montrezl Harrell, and somebody's gonna die.
I
in
can't.
that case.
You know what? I
I
can't
like-
say that before we send it because I respect Rick Pitino. You want to know why? Because he destroyed the Boston Celtics for a few years.
Thanks a
Wow,
lot.
you respect him for doing a
Thanks a
terrible
lot.
job.
And didn't
I'm a Lakers
Calipari
fan.
destroy the Nets for a few years too?
Sheesh. All right. All
He
right.
did
Well,
wonderful things at Memphis.
when we come back,
Did.
we're gonna switch gears
Did they ever
here
win one though?
and talk about
Nope.
NFL free agency, some key moves, some people that could be on the move. We're gonna have our Eagles insider, Cody Benjamin, step in the booth as one
Have fun with Mark
Deshaun.
Sanchez. The
Will
Eagles.
you let me finish? As one Deshaun Jackson could be on the move.
Don't get me started.
And there was a signing on Monday that has the NFL realm a buzz. So stay tuned. You're listening to the Out of Bounds podcast.
Did you hear that word choice?
What's going on, everybody? It's Kyle Condor. Just letting you know the Out of Bounds podcast is brought to you by The Pen, IUP student voice, with music provided by Beats by The Passion. High five. Don't forget to holla at your boys on Twitter at TheOOBP, and you can also check out our podcast at thepen.org or on iTunes.
And welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. I'm your host, Josh Carney, joined in studio again with assistant producers Adam Clapp, Dimitri George, Kyle Condor still here,
Holla.
and our Eagles insider, Cody Benjamin.
I am here.
You've
It's good to be here.
you've covered the Eagles the last 2 years in training camp.
It's about time, Cody.
Yeah, really.
I know. I've been trying to get on here. You
You-
guys,
Get
you
up on
know,
that mic, Cody.
I'm up on the mic now. I'm up.
You were a intern at the Pittsburgh Sports Report with me. I believe you write for another website now.
Yeah, I founded my own website in 2009. It's bleedsgreen.com. There's a hyphen in between bleeds and green. I just started as like a casual blog, but Over the years, it kind of got more serious, and then I've been at training camp the last 2 years covering the Eagles as well.
Look at this guy. Our first credible guy in here, in a sense.
Way more credible than you.
Whatever. Hey, I'll go toe-to-toe with him. Anyway, we're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles, their free agency moves. Obviously bringing back Riley Cooper, Jeremy Maclin, Nate Allen, their punter, Donnie Jones. Oh, boy.
Well, that's a good move.
It is. And then they signed Nolan Carroll, Malcolm Jenkins, Chris Maragos, and Brian Brahman. Those last two guys are special teamers. Maragos was a special teamer for the world champion Seahawks. But they also lost Clifton Gathers and one Michael Vick, signed with the New York Jets. But one move made on Monday.
Or one move that has not been made yet.
It's almost official.
No, I'm saying the other one for the Eagles that has not.
I'm not getting to that one yet. One move officially made on Monday. Mark Sanchez, is heading to Philly to back up Nick Foles or take his starting job, whichever you choose. Some USC brethren backing up Nick Foles.
Pac-12.
All Pac-12 quarterbacks. I wonder why. Yeah, give Matt Leinart a call. Hell, trade for Carson Palmer. Just get all USC
John
quarterbacks.
David Booty while you're
There
at it.
we go. That's the name.
John David Booty.
Honestly, I wasn't going to say that because I didn't think anyone would really remember that
we
far
remember. Vikings?
back.
We
Yeah.
got
He was
cut.
also a pitcher. He was an MLB prospect
There's so many
in a sense.
USC quarterbacks, I swear.
Well, yeah, I mean, USC was a quarterback
Yeah.
school, not
like
so much
Matt Castle
anymore.
didn't even play at USC, and he's doing well in the NFL now.
True.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But, Cody, losing Michael Vick, it doesn't have an impact on the team moving forward. He wasn't going to start. But were you surprised to see him land in New York?
No, not at all. I think they were the team that was showing the most interest in him, and they were kind of linked to him before free agency started. I think, unfortunately for him, I don't know how functional of an organization that is. So I know, I'm rooting for him because I think he's really done a great job, turning not only his career around but his life. So I hope that he does well, but I don't know that New York is the best place. I think that's the place he's going to get a starting opportunity. But
You think he beats out Gino?
I do. I think so.
Who
I mean,
wears-
that's going to be tough.
Who
but
wears
Who
7?
wears 7?
That's the big question I was wondering as well.
Because Gino can't go back to 12, what he wore at WVU, obviously, because Joe Namath.
I think, well...
I
you
think
know-
Vic's going to buy the jersey off of him,
Yeah.
and Gino's going
I
to
was
drop
going
the
to say
number.
maybe Gino should give it to him, but that's kind of like, you don't want to give up your status,
Yeah, you're basically saying,
Yeah.
here, take my number because you're better than
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I think Gino stays the starter only because the Jets can't afford to give up on him yet. Because, granted, last year they had no weapons. They go out and they sign Eric
They
Decker.
also can't afford to have Michael Vick sit on the bench with $5
Well,
million.
that's-
You're right,
I
but
could see Gino starting the year, but I feel like Vic's going to get,
he's going to
no
get playing
doubt,
time.
some
I
playing
think
time.
Gino goes down
Decker
with
is
injury
the
at
worst
some time.
receiver they could have gotten.
I
hate
disagree.
Decker.
I don't.
Decker is the
I
worst
don't-
receiver
I don't
they
hate
could have
Decker.
gotten.
I don't hate Decker.
He should have gotten paid number one
Was
money.
Santonio your number one, you think, or was Hines the number one?
Hines
like
Ward.
for those
Hines
few years
Ward.
there.
Hines Ward.
was, and then Plaxico was.
Well,
Pretty,
I
was
mean-
Plaxico and Santonio ever on the same team?
No, they traded Plex. Or no, they let Plex walk to the Giants.
After the
the
04
year,
year.
And
like
then
they
they-
literally
after they won the
Santonio came in
Super
a
Bowl.
year after, right?
No, Santonio came in the 06,
After because he was
05
drafted.
He's still in the
he was
market,
drafted
isn't he?
31st, right?
They traded up to take 25 of the
Oh,
Giants.
that's right.
He came in the year after the Steelers won their
So,
first Super Bowl.
I mean, that's just another receiver that a team, specifically the Jets, go after that was not a number one prior to
Right.
and
going
I
to
mean,
their
the
team.
Steelers gave up a bag of chips for him. I
Who are you
mean,
talking-
they got a
Yeah.
bag of chips for Santonio.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a receiver out there linked to the Jets, also from Philly, that's rumored to be on the move.
That would be cool.
Deshaun Jackson,
Marty Morningwig.
Mike Vick, and Deshaun Jackson, best of friends. There are 4 teams I think Jackson could land in: Philly, Cleveland.
He's on Philly.
I'm sorry, the Jets,
I don't see Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Oakland.
They have picks to give up. Oakland.
Right.
San Fran.
And San Francisco. A lot of people said that Seattle's in the running. They're not. It was just to gauge interest. They don't have the pieces to give up in terms of picks. But I think if the Jets are smart, they trade a first-round pick for him.
The Jets.
First round. Don't the Eagles
Oh,
only won
no,
a
no,
third?
no, no, no.
The Eagles only won a third,
I would get
right?
No.
Deshaun's
Not
There's
a
so many
first.
good
Definitely not a
receivers,
first
Josh.
at this point.
Deshaun's a great
But
receiver.
the Jets are the only team right now, too, that...
What?
Wait.
Deshaun is a great receiver.
He is not
Yes,
worth. He's not
we
worth
could
that
debate
contract.
this, too.
He's like a backyard.
He's not worth
Okay.
that contract.
I'll tell
It's
you what,
fine.
he's exciting, and back to focusing on like what the Jets used to be and whatnot.
Wait.
Who is better?
Look.
Why?
This-
They're
this
compared.
would
They're
be-
compared all the time. Mike Wallace is Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun
Jackson.
Yeah, Deshaun
No
Jackson.
question.
There's
Mike,
no
what
doubt
has
about
Mike
it.
Wallace done?
This would be the Jets' first.
Yeah, Ryan Tannehill.
Relax.
Ryan
Can
Tannehill's
we
a good
not
quarterback.
relate
Yeah, let's
everything
get-
to the Steelers?
There
For
you go,
once.
Kyle. Let's,
This isn't the Steelers.
The Steelers aren't even
We're
like.
not even talking to Steelers here. We're
I'm
talking
talking
Dolphins.
about players.
all right,
Bring up
let
Mike
him
Wallace.
talk about the Jets.
Look,
receiver.
the Jets. This would be the Jets' first exciting offensive player, aside from an offensive lineman, since Leon Washington, and he wasn't even that exciting.
You have
Who else have the Jets had that was like, oh my God, here goes the top 10 play right here?
Curtis Martin.
Yeah, that's a
I mean, they've
long
had good
time
running
ago.
backs in the past. LT,
Leon
Thomas
Washington.
Jones.
But Leon LT, he was like a freaking third down back by the time they got him.
Who
And
else?
Jericho.
Jericho Carter was there. Sean
Rookie
I
Green.
agree.
Steeler
I mean,
again.
Plexico Burris.
Jesus.
He's actually a Panther.
Couldn't even avoid it. Yeah, but he was a Steeler.
Kellen Winslow.
He wasn't highlight
He
reel.
only had 1 year with them.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
just saying. they've
My
had-
point is that the Jets have needed this explosive player for years. If they
can't-
could get Deshaun Jackson,
Oh yeah, I agree with that. But I can't believe you guys think that Mike Wallace wasn't better than Deshaun Jackson.
All right.
oh my
wait,
God.
let's go back
Deshaun
to.
The
Jackson will
Steelers
never go across
suck.
the middle
Do you
because
think
of Dante
it's-
Robinson.
Let's-
Do you
The
think
Dolphins
killed him.
suck too.
Do you think it's smart for the Eagles to trade away Deshaun Jackson?
Statistically, on paper, no, but
Why?
because
They've already
obviously,
lost Avant, right?
well, Avant wasn't going to be a key this year anyway. But so most people are saying the reason that they want to do it is because of salary. You could argue that, but on the field, they're saying he's not a good fit. But you can't say that he's not a good fit.
Guy's great in
And Chip-
space.
He had the.
If he's so good, why would they want to dump him?
All right, no, just wait, Dimitri.
Why would they want to
Just
dump him?
settle down over here. That's the question that everyone wants to know, because
Chip don't like him.
he posted career high receptions, receiving yards. He had 9 touchdown catches in Chip Kelly's scheme. So it's not the scheme. So some people are.
God's about
What
to
was
hate
he
me.
laughing
God's
about
about
over
to hate
here?
me.
Here we go.
What happened in the playoffs when Keenan Lewis was 1-on-1 with him? And
Well,
then
that's something I'm going to bring up because they're thinking it might be size, but Chip Kelly, look at he's over here laughing.
I would put Deshaun Jackson in the slot on any team.
he's not
any
a slot
day.
receiver.
Yeah, but
he's not
Put
a
him in
slot.
space.
He's not a slot receiver.
Why isn't he? If he
Because he's not. He's fast, not quick.
why
he's
is he
fast.
hating though? Like we're talking about
what
a
is
potential trade.
what is Mike Wallace?
He's over.
I'm not saying Mike Wallace is a slot.
Why is this a Mike
Why are we
Wallace
comparing him to
conversation?
Mike Wallace?
Because
It's
that's his
Deshaun
only
Jackson.
That's his only
But
comparison.
But
to
this
the
is
NFL.
about
Ponies.
Deshaun Jackson
They're
and
both
his
ponies.
trade.
So what are you
Ponies.
saying? That the Eagles shouldn't trade him, or that
I think they
No,
should.
no, no,
have
I-
traded
what?
him.
Only legitimate argument you can say, and I'm gonna end this conversation with the Mike Wallace. The only reason you
No,
can say
we're not
Deshaun-
going to end it on Mike Wallace. Go.
He's saying he's ending the Mike Wallace argument.
Oh.
The only reason you can say
Sheesh.
Deshaun
There
Jackson
is
is
no
better
argument.
than Mike Wallace is because he provides special teams with punt
This is
returns.
irrelevant.
That's the only reason.
Like,
But Deshaun Jackson, I mean, I don't know. He's not a slot receiver. He's not. You can't put him in the slot. Darren Sproles, he'll be in the slot.
That was going to be my question. Is that why they're getting rid of him? They're not going to be enough touches to go around that they're.
No.
Hey, we just traded for
I
Darren
don't-
Sproles.
That's not why. I think at this point, if he's taken up, they gave him the contract, so
$11 million a year,
Yeah.
correct?
Right.
Granted, he's not worth $11 million.
But if you're Chip Kelly moving forward, obviously he put up big numbers last year. He's still kind of in his prime. I believe he's 27. But if I know Howie Roseman, their general manager, said that in every round this year of the draft, they see a receiver that they could take. So if you're Chip Kelly and you see you just got Macklin back and Cooper back, you have all the tight ends. Sproles is in there now.
But you wouldn't pay him 2 years ago, and
Well, that's the thing. That's why I'm saying it doesn't make sense. Because if they paid him 2 years ago and it's about character concerns or anything, they risked that 2 years ago, so why would it change now? But there's also people are saying maybe he doesn't fit Chip Kelly's culture or whatever because, I mean, he had a sideline spat with the coach. Not that Riley Cooper had an incident last year too. But if you're Chip Kelly and they can draft somebody this year and you can free up that salary and unload Jackson while he's got value now, maybe that's why. Obviously, no one knows the true story right now, and Howie Roseman's not commenting on it either. So
I can't fathom them giving up Deshaun Jackson, especially after the numbers he put
yeah,
up
you would
last
think.
year.
You would think.
he's good as gone.
Granted, I think we can agree on this. I think Riley Cooper, and this is crazy to say, is their number one.
Oh, Jerry Macklin will be. I know he's coming off an injury. I know
Riley
he's gonna-
Cooper's size, speed.
The reason, and I'm going to contradict myself here. The reason Riley Cooper had the season he did because he had Deshaun Jackson on the other side.
let me ask you this. This is going to be an Oregon tie. Do you think they're trying to unload Deshaun Jackson because Chip Kelly sees a guy like Josh Huff from Oregon sitting there in the later rounds as a receiver?
Not necessarily maybe that play. I mean,
Not
that could
that
be one
specifically, but
yeah, now there's report. I mean, there have been conflicting reports for the last couple of weeks, but somebody reported on Philly.com today that said the Eagles decided over a month ago that they were getting rid of. This isn't something that just came out of the blue.
Yeah, I saw that. Maybe Chip Kelly's offense doesn't need a guy who makes $11 million a year. Maybe
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, he can plug people in, speed guys.
Jeff Mail could be
easy.
That's a little. I mean, it's a little stretch. I understand what you're saying.
I don't. He did that against Pac-12 defensive backs.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but
I think on paper it doesn't make sense. But if you're Chip Kelly, he does a lot of things that are not traditional.
Maybe he saw Ken Lewis take him completely out of the game and was like, I'm done with this guy.
I don't
I'm
think
not
that
paying him $11 million.
Are you relating that because Keenan Lewis is?
Oh, don't get him started.
Formerly of the Steelers.
No, Keenan Lewis. He's one of the top 5 corners in
I will
football.
no longer comment if there's a Steeler involved.
Oh,
I understand. I know what you're saying.
You might be sitting out the second
No,
half
but
of
if
this
you
segment.
look at Keenan Lewis, if you look
sit
at the
out.
way the Seahawks won the Super Bowl with big cornerbacks, maybe Chip Kelly wants to get bigger, but I mean, Macklin would be the smallest starting receiver at tight end at 6 foot.
To be honest, I think without Deshaun Jackson, I still think the Eagles are a top 5 offense. Let's help the defense out. I don't care what they got with Malcolm Jenkins. That was a mistake, I think.
Yeah, he was the worst available free safety because he missed the most amount of tackles. A guy from a Pittsburgh radio station, Andrew Filipponi, said that Mike Mitchell had the highest number of missed tackles. You go back and look at the numbers. It was Malcolm Jenkins.
I mean, one thing the Eagles were good at last year. One thing the Eagles were good at last year was just tackling. So I don't know if they can help him improve, but I think they went after him for versatility.
What do you think of Nolan Carroll? I mean, there was rumors he was linked to the Steelers.
I think they'll let him compete, but I don't know that he was brought in to be a number 1 starter.
So your corners right now, you got a pretty packed bunch now. I think
Fletcher.
You got Fletcher.
Kerry
you got Kerry
Williams.
Williams.
Kerry Williams.
Kerry Williams is a bum. Boykin, who
Kerry,
played
did you say Kerry Williams is a bum?
He's a bum.
He's a bum.
We'll just move on because we're not
going
to
do the Ravens.
I know.
He wasn't good for the
Eagles
last year. He wasn't. Cody, let me ask you: was he good for the Eagles last year?
Kerry Williams
For the contract he got.
I'll tell you what.
I'll
tell you what. Who cares?
Who cares that?
But Frank Zamo got no burn. Kerry Williams was on the field. Kerry Williams is a good.
Frank Zamo was on the field against the Steelers.
I have a bias the other way because Kerry Williams is a good dude. I talked to him at.
I wish he was at Chickies and Pete's, our job back home.
I
wish I was
3
there.
years, $17 million.
No, he wouldn't have. He's a good dude. Kerry Williams is a good dude.
He got 3 years, $17 million.
Yeah, he was, man.
You think
he was
he's worth
interacting.
just over $5.5 million a year? You think he's a number 1 or 2?
A number 1 or 2? I'm supposed to pick one of those.
Do you
I think he's a good number 2.
Oh, definitely a good number 2.
But
right now they have 2 good number 2 cornerbacks.
That's their problem.
But Boykin, if he was a little bit taller, they might want to play him on the outside.
I think he's perfect in this
I wanted Boykin
I know, but they need to
bad
get him.
last year in the draft.
I think
he was one of the.
He is, but they want him on the field
To
all the
me,
time.
he graded as one of the top corners
Well,
last
you can put
year
him on
for
the
me.
field all the time because the way the offense is running
Right.
now.
But Boykin is clearly their best corner. It's just if he's in the slot, he's not the number 1.
So,
you know?
Cody, let me ask you this before we move on. What pick do the Eagles have in the draft?
22?
Yeah, 22. That could go.
Let me
any
throw out
direction.
2 names that would be available, say, at that spot.
Mike Evans? What?
He ain't.
I
I
thought you
know,
were
I'm
going to go
joking.
there.
Don't say a corner because they're not going to take one in the first
You
round.
going Pryor?
Haha Clinton Dix or Kelvin Benjamin. You guys, you say they might want to get big at receiver. He's big. He's 6'5". Or do you need another guy in the secondary that's a ball hawk? I think if Clinton Dix compares to anyone in the NFL in recent years, it's Ed Reed because he's a center fielder.
So you said Clinton Dix or
Clinton Dix or Benjamin at 22 if they're available.
If I'm the Eagles, I'm taking Clinton Dix because the wide receiver depth is good enough that I think, they could go somewhere else.
I'm just saying because you said hypothetically they could want to get bigger at receiver, and that's one of the biggest guys.
So if they went he would be the free and Jenkins would be the strong safety.
Probably.
I feel like the way the Eagles played safety the last year and actually the last 2 years have been free and strong safety really haven't been titles. They've been moving them around, and that's why I think they got Jenkins because he can move around.
He could play. Well, he played corner
They brought-
some in
yeah.
college.
They brought Nate Allen back, but that's kind of just a fallback kind of option there.
The last question I want to ask you about the Eagles, and I caught a lot of hell on Twitter for this. I was questioning the acquisition of Darren Sproles
Yeah.
because of the number of weapons that they had already in Chip
Well,
Kelly's
we didn't
offense.
know- did
But we didn't know that Deshaun Jackson was going to be moved. So now I'm thinking it's a good fit.
Regardless.
But if they weren't moving Jackson, I thought Sproles isn't going to be a goal line back. He's not going to be a change of pace back that's going to come in and get 10 carries a game. So
I think he's literally going to be in the slot.
he's going to be slot and punt return. And you pay a slot and punt returner the 3 years, $10.5 million. I mean, you could find someone in the draft.
I mean, what did Dexter McCluster get?
Dexter McCluster's different than Darren Sproles because I think Dexter McCluster can play slot, kick, punt. He can play special teams like a gunner. He can also line up in the backfield. He's a running back at Ole Miss.
I think that's his comparison though.
It is, but I think Dexter McCluster got
3
years,
11.
17
It might have been 17, yeah.
by Tennessee, which I like that move for Tennessee. A little
Just
bit
a
too much.
playmaker.
But what do you think of the Sproles acquisition? I mean, I'm better with it now because they're moving Jackson. But
Right.
when they had all these guys in, I said, I don't think he's a fit there. I would have rather seen him in Washington. I know that's going against Eagles lore.
No, that's I think even if they kept Jackson, kind of like Dimitri said, the slot seems like a really ideal place because
Replaces Avant.
yeah, with Avant gone now that they're completely different players. Avant is a possession of or
I was going to ask this: if you were keeping Jackson, Cooper, and Macklin, what are you going to do? 4 receivers?
well,
Four
I mean,
receivers set constantly and have Sproles in the slot. I mean, that's why I was looking at that.
But
And this is going to make me sound like a nerd. I sat down and I wrote out the depth chart, and I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, Cooper, you could probably pencil in now for the rest of his career as long as Nick Foles is quarterback, 70-plus catches. Macklin, 50. Jackson, 60-plus. You got Zach Ertz at tight end who's coming on strong.
Well, that's another thing.
Maybe
You got
30-plus
Selleck
catches.
and Ertz.
mm-hmm.
Do you
they
think
still
they
have
keep? Do you
James Casey too.
Think, yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking, where is Sproles going to get all these touches? And you're going to take the 25-plus touches away from LaShawn McCoy to give Sproles 10? Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, Chip Kelly runs the
Chip
ball.
Kelly will find a way.
Yeah, I know. If Darren
that was
Sproles is
people's
willing
arguments
to
me.
if
We're
Darren,
just trying to figure out
right.
Where
where do we
touches.
think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
sitting there thinking, where is he going to get touches? Because if I'm Nick Foles, I'm not going to dump the ball off to Sproles when I got Riley Cooper going deep or McCoy out of the backfield. I'm getting the ball to Shady constantly.
Chip
I mean,
Kelly's going to find mismatches, and he's
He
going to
will.
find the best.
And it scares me because Sproles against a linebacker, Sproles is going to win 10 out of 10.
I mean, if you have Sproles and McCoy in the backfield, that's 2.
At the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
I see it now, but when I was
I know
doing
what you
that,
mean.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot
where
of
are the
pieces.
touches going to go? Because there's only so many that can go
They
around.
do have Chris Polk and Bryce Brown in the backfield
Yeah,
too.
and that's what I was looking at too. I mean, Bryce Brown's not a bad running back.
Fumbled
No.
a little bit too much.
But that's where
I
I-
would use him on the Steelers right now because they got no one behind Le'Veon Bell, who
Sure.
we're going to talk about right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency, before we move on to the rest of the NFL. You bring in Mike Mitchell. Love that move. Arthur Motes signed Monday, a 1-year deal. He's depth. He could push Vince Williams at inside linebacker. I highly doubt it.
Okay, well,
They brought back Will Allen. Cam Thomas came over from San Diego. Lance Moore from New Orleans. They lose Jericho. I was a little upset about that move, but he's going home to Carolina. Carolina needs a receiver.
His wife, men out there listening, your wife is always right.
Hey, you know what? I got the chance to talk to Jericho the last 2 summers at training camp. The best interview I've done because he literally will sit there and talk to you for 20, 25 minutes and give you in-depth details. I mean, I asked him about Polamalu and Ryan Clark when I did a piece for the sports report. And he went based off of him playing in the locker room, or him being in the locker room with those guys the past 3 years, and then also playing against them. And it was one of the best interviews I've ever had. So sad to see him go, but that was a great move by Carolina. I think he's going to provide Cam Newton a nice outlet.
They need somebody. They got me. I got all of us out there playing receiver.
Yeah. The Broncos signed Emmanuel Sanders, and that fiasco, I lost a lot of respect for Emmanuel. I lost the rest of the respect I had for Emmanuel after that.
By going to Denver?
No, by what he did.
The Chiefs thing.
And the Bucks. He played the Bucks too.
I didn't hear about the Bucks.
Yeah, the Bucks and the Chiefs are highly pissed off at him, but they lost a lot. They have no running back depth behind Le'Veon Bell. Dwyer goes to Arizona. What lies ahead for the Steelers in free agency? I know they met with Jones-Drew last week. They're meeting with LeGarrette Blount Friday.
Supposedly they're bringing Manish Mehta of the New York Daily News. I think he covers the Jets. Reported that the Steelers were among the 3 or 4 teams that are going to meet with Jones-Drew again at the meetings.
Well, they came out today that they had a great interview with him and that they are really excited with where it could go.
He has to drop his number.
I would like that.
JD?
Behind Bell.
MJD?
Yes.
I was talking about this with Vince. I said, what would you rather have, Maurice Jones-Drew or LeGarrette Blount? And he said he would rather have Blount because Le'Veon can do everything that MJD can do. Blount is more of goal line, downhill, A-gap, stick his nose in there. MJD...
I think Blount is the closest comparison to the bust that we'll ever see again.
Other than John Clay.
I'm talking successful NFL running backs.
Yeah.
But I want MJD. Based off of name alone.
Yes, he has to lower his number.
He will.
Reportedly, he wants $3.5 million. The longer that he waits, the better for the Steelers. Or the longer that he's out there, the better for the Steelers. Real quick, one word thought of what would you think of this? There's a lot of been talk about Pittsburgh writers. Bob Pompiani did a piece with Mike Tomlin. What would you say if the Steelers were on Hard Knocks?
No.
They have to. There's a rule now.
There's no rule.
It's not. No.
There's a rule.
That you have to do it?
There's a rule.
So
now,
I thought they were
tell me
talking
your
about
rule.
that.
No.
And then I have a great...
Okay. I'm going to paraphrase it from what my understanding is.
Oh.
There's first of all, there's only a set of, I think there's between 8 and 12 teams for this year that they're qualified to be on Hard Knocks.
And how do you qualify?
You can't be on it. Can't be on it already, obviously. Nope. You can't have a coaching change within the last year or two, and something else. But if no team volunteers, the NFL will then choose or whatever, or Hard Knocks or whatever choose.
To do that?
Yeah, they will choose a team and you have to do it.
So why on earth would they pick the Steelers, who are plummeting quickly?
Oh, good Lord.
They want good teams, sir.
But I'm saying,
I could.
Here we go. Teams that have 1, a new head coach can't do it. 2, made the postseason in one of the last 2 seasons, or 3 were on the show in the last 10 years, can opt out. So that leaves the Bears, Bills, Cardinals, Giants, Jaguars, Raiders, Rams, and Steelers as the NFL teams that could appear on the show.
Say the qualifications again.
Teams that have a new head coach can't do it. Made the postseason in one of the last 2 seasons.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Or were on the show in the last 10 years. Can opt out.
Well, in other words, Kyle Condor is not going to be watching Hard Knocks this year.
Why wouldn't you want to follow?
I don't want to follow a non-playoff team.
Do you realize Hard Knocks is one of the best shows out there?
Yeah.
They made me intrigued by the Cincinnati
Bengals. That one
Bengals.
was a joke. Yeah, the Bengals made the playoffs.
But I'm saying it made me. I was intrigued.
See a team build up
yes,
there too. That's what
it's cool.
I was
to watch.
intrigued because I knew the Bengals had a shot at the playoffs. Go ahead.
You mean to tell me the Bears don't have a shot at the playoffs?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The Cardinals? I mean,
That'd
granted, they play in the toughest
Actually,
division.
Yeah, there's some teams you named there. That would be.
If Johnny Manziel goes to the Jaguars, I will watch that
Why
every
could
day.
you not have made the playoffs last year?
No, they're saying if you made the playoffs, you can
can't
opt out.
Oh.
It's not saying you can't,
I
but
just
they're
wanna
saying
see-
you can opt out. You just want to see the Packers.
Yeah, I just want to see my team do it.
I don't.
So do I.
Yeah, but you guys are bad.
The Packers won 8 games. I don't care if it was out without Aaron Rodgers. Doesn't matter.
I care. If it
Both
was
those
without
teams
Aaron
are
Rodgers.
historically legendary
thing.
teams too. So I'm saying.
Whatever. I don't want to see
The
them on
Packers
Hard
are
Knocks.
clearly a top tier team in this league.
I don't want the Steelers to have to do it. I'm saying if they do.
Didn't Tomlin come out Monday and say he doesn't want
I
it to
think
happen?
it'd be interesting no matter what team
yeah.
because it's like an inside look.
I don't want them to do it
The
at all.
Dolphins one, that was a joke.
Well, we saw Ocho Cinco get cut live.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Yeah,
upsetting.
the only reason they signed him was to cut him on HBO, which
Yeah,
I'm
Joe
pretty
Phil-
convinced
that-
about.
Joe Philbin.
That was
I'm pretty
seemed like a
convinced.
If I'm
stunt.
Chad,
Yeah,
Ocho Cinco.
that was a stunt.
like
Joe
why
Philbin
would you
made a
ever?
fool out of him.
That was a stunt.
Yeah.
Joe Philbin made a fool out of him.
I
They
don't.
signed him to cut him on HBO. That
Well,
was
no,
his
they
stuff.
signed him because he was going to be their number one. But then when he got in that domestic dispute with his new
Yes,
wife,
but
See,
then
that's made for
somebody-
TV, right?
But then
I mean, the
somebody
way
else on
his
the Dolphins,
personality
that was
is.
his first arrest.
It was for TV.
And then somebody else on the Dolphins, I think, a week after they released
was
him.
arrested for like the third time, and they said, "Oh, you can still play."
We're all media students. That was for TV. Let's
No, there was some build up to that. I'm sure when
Yeah.
the domestic dispute came out, they said, "Oh, we're going to cut him on HBO or Knox right now. We're not going to do it privately. We're going to cut you on camera."
Yeah, they're going to do a
And I'm sure Ocho Cinco said, "Okay, it's on TV. I mean, we'll build it up. Act like nothing's
Do
wrong."
you think that
Back
he
to
knew
Steelers.
going into that office? That,
Yes.
He
Yes.
had
That's
to.
why his reaction wasn't
Yeah, I mean,
as bad as
Back
it
to
could
the
have been.
Steelers, real quick. What were you asking me?
Where do they go now in free agency? Obviously, they still have to address running back because to me, you can't settle for a guy in the draft again in the late rounds to say, "All right, back up the workhorse."
I think whether it's LeGarrette Blount, Maurice Jones,
Got to get one of those two.
I think it's going to be a 1-year deal,
I-
so that they can draft somebody to develop.
If it's
for a year.
if it's LeGarrette, I'm giving him 2 because he's got less wear and tear on him.
Yeah,
MJD might have.
MJD's 28. LeGarrette's
MJD's
27.
got 1 or 2 years left, and not just based on age. You got to remember, LeGarrette Blount was a backup in Tampa, and then started like 8 games.
Yeah.
Went to where did he bounce around to? He played in Tennessee before he got traded to Tampa
Yeah.
because Tennessee picked him up as an undrafted free agent. He went somewhere after Tampa.
New England.
Was it directly after Tampa?
I think so. Yeah, it was a trade. Yeah.
Right,
I remember.
right.
With the Jeff Demps. Remember him?
Oh, Jeff Demps. Yep, Florida guy,
Yeah.
track star. Yeah.
David O'Brien met him.
But where do the Steelers go? I mean, they addressed linebacker depth with Moats on Monday.
And reports from Jerry Dulac and multiple Pittsburgh Steelers reporters say that he will provide outside
Stevenson
linebacker
Sylvester.
depth.
Stevenson Sylvester-esque.
So he'll back up Worlds and Jones.
He could push Williams, though, in the inside if he has a good camp.
The intriguing part about this offseason in terms of linebacker to me is Sean Spence. Where is he?
Yeah, I hope he gets healthy.
Where is he in his recovery? I think this is his last chance, not only for the Steelers, but I think for his career.
Yeah, it was a gruesome knee injury. I hope he comes
Damn,
back.
Heinz Field turf.
Yeah.
Turf. Grass.
What about? There's been a name floating around at corner. Chris Owens could come
You
in.
already got signed.
Where did he go? I didn't. I see it. When you're
Chiefs.
unplugged for a week, you miss out on
I
stuff.
think he went to the Chiefs.
Okay. Well, they got to get another corner in unless they a depth corner because
I don't think so. I don't think they will.
no.
I think
You think they're gonna draft?
Yes, because
Mark
You-
Cavalli
you-
said Darquez Denard is who he thinks they're gonna draft, and I'm loving it.
I don't think they. I don't think they should go corner in free agency.
You want it first round?
Yeah, because if you look at it, Ike Taylor took a pay cut, come back and start. You have Cortez, and then you have William Gay as your 3, and then they're probably going to. I think you would insert a rookie there.
I think you draft Darquez, and I think you have him play the nickel for the first year, or do you start him right away?
Depends on training camp.
True.
Depends
True.
on training camp. When they put the pads on.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? The strongest part of this team is the offensive line.
Yeah, and thinking about that Cody Wallace 3-year deal, I'm looking at it again and again and again. Not a bad deal. He's depth. I want Velasco back, but I know they're not coming back.
Some say that they might get him back closer to training camp.
I'm okay with that. He
James
played really
Harrison
well.
could come back after.
I don't know about that.
After.
June
in late
1st.
Summer.
June 1st, after June 1st, when they have more
Yeah,
space. What do you think about him coming back before we move on to the rest of the NFL? I don't think he's a fit anymore. Where's he going to play?
A lot of people are complaining because backup linebackers are supposed to play special teams.
He ain't going to run down the
and
field.
James Harrison doesn't play special teams. But I mean, you've got Joey Porter as an defensive assistant, and really what that title is, get Jarvis Jones to where you were.
Do you bring Harrison back and let Harrison teach Jones too?
I think if you bring Harrison back, he'd provide not only on the field. You could get something out of him on the field, but I think his presence in the locker room and his presence alone, I think could help. And I think you could bring him in as a situational pass rusher. Why not? It's James Harrison.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't play a lot in Cincinnati. I mean, the 4-3 he was kind of out of place, but he played pretty decently.
Yeah.
When he got the chance.
now, let me ask you guys this. Winners from free agency. I know we're, 3 weeks into free agency now?
Just about.
Winners so far. I got one team. I'm going to sit back and wait. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and and debate who won free agency for you. Cody, we'll start with you. Haven't heard from you in a while. Obviously, when we go to Steelers.
Oh yeah.
But who's your winner?
It's gonna take a little bit of time to pay off, I think, but I would go with the Buccaneers as one of the better teams. Obviously, getting rid of Revis is kind of a risk. But they got Alteron Werner for obviously a discounted price there. Brought in some other defensive guys, and Josh McCown is a move I actually like. I think Buccaneers could still draft a quarterback, but that gives them, if he's anywhere close to the way he played last year with the Bears, I think that's a nice short-term option for them. So I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers.
It's a fair argument. That would be one of my winners. But Kyle, who would you have as one of your winners? And don't give me the Broncos.
I'm not gonna say the Broncos. I like Cody's pick with the Bucks too, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the Patriots.
Getting Revis?
Yeah.
like
Browner.
They got Revis, Browner.
I love Brandon
They got
Browner.
Edelman back. They got Brandon LaFell, who clearly is going to be a star now that
See
he's
a
playing
stat?
with
Are you
Tom
throwing a
Brady.
stat that was brought up with him Golden Tate?
Edelman?
No,
Oh.
LaFell.
No, I did not. Fill me in.
Golden Tate, if you compare the numbers between Golden Tate and LaFell, LaFell has 2 more catches than Golden Tate, around the same amount of yards, and more touchdowns than Golden Tate. And Golden Tate got 5 years, $31 million, and LaFell got 3 years, $9 million.
I really think Tom Brady's going to turn LaFell into a star.
Star.
That to me
Superstar
is
at
one of the
that.
most underrated signings in
Who,
free
Jabbar
agency.
Gaffney?
Every year.
Like Jabbar Gaffney?
Tom
like?
Brady makes a star out of somebody every year.
LaFell's got
Julian Edelman, we've said this on this podcast before, had more catches last year than he did in his first 5 seasons in the NFL combined.
Yeah.
That's what Tom Brady does to you.
LaFell, to me, he's going to be great in New England. He's got size. He's got hands. He's just got to work on being a pro. And that comes with preparation. Route running, he's got to become crisp with that. And Brady will get on him. That was a great move by New England. I mean, now you can put Edelman back in the slot.
They're my winner.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Dimitri, who you got?
You know,
Oh, Jesus, don't do it.
I would not say the Steelers, although I think that they've done pretty
They've
well.
had
for
a good.
themselves.
They've done well with the
What
limited
they
cap
could
space.
have done. You know what? I'm going to go Jacksonville. Oh,
Come on.
Did I take your pick?
We'll go on with this then, because I'm right there with you.
Boo.
What's your favorite signing that they made?
Zane Beatles, best available offensive lineman in my opinion, and they got him.
Brandon Albert?
No, I think he's better. Zane Beatles is a
What
guard.
about the center from the Browns who they got back or whatever?
They franchise.
Jeff
right?
Schwartz was technically
Alex
rated.
Mack.
Pro Football
Alex
Focus
Mack.
had Jeff Schwartz, who signed with the Giants, I believe, better rated than Zane Beatles.
I'm
People
looking
say
at-
Zane Beatles was the weak link on that offensive line of Denver's.
I'm looking at Bill Pullian's rankings.
Okay, so why did you think they were the winner then?
Oh no, I'm saying Zane Beatles is a good signing. I'm saying he
That's-
said that they're the best. He was the best offensive line.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead.
I like the
Let me
Red Bryant.
change that. Best guard,
Okay.
because there.
Okay.
Brandon Albert was out there. Eugene Monroe.
Yeah.
I know you hate it. I love Michael Orr.
Okay, so bomb.
Where's he at now?
Tennessee.
Really?
I like it.
Red Bryant,
Chris Clemens.
Chris
Jason
Clemens.
Babin back.
Jason Babin's back,
Ziggy Hood got 4 years.
and I'll
What
tell
is
you
this,
what,
the 2013 draft? All we're talking about is linemen?
defensive lineman.
Yeah, and offensive linemen, St.
Gus
Beatles.
Bradley comes
Okay,
from
so
Seattle.
what did the Jaguars do that was that great?
They've got guys.
How are they going to go from a 0 to a 6-win team next year?
They won some games. They won 4.
Hey, listen.
4.
Listen.
Okay,
And
Hey,
Gus Bradley
wait.
is
So
slow-
what do they
it's-
do to-
Where
it's
are
coming.
the battles won usually?
Trenches.
In the trenches. Where do the Jaguars build? In the trenches.
But then they lost the Oso falling off Maurice Jones-Drew.
That's not a big loss because
Toby
they brought
Gerhart.
in
Toby
Toby
Gerhart.
Gerhart,
They
who's going to
won't
be
have
good.
Justin Blackman most likely, which they had for most of their wins last year.
I think they should have signed Emmanuel Sanders, but
I mean, Tan and Doss.
offensively, listen, they are in a bit of a pickle. Is Chad Henne their starter? They re-signed him.
Unfortunately.
Blaine Gabbert is no longer with them, which includes me saying that they are a winner of free agency, getting rid of Gabbert.
How about Trent Baalke getting a 6th-round pick for Blaine Gabbert?
Yeah.
How about that?
Now
And you know
imagine
what?
if
I think he's going to work out in San Francisco.
Alex Smith 2.0.
Stole it.
Get
Stole it from
imagine
me.
if we end this offseason and Blaine Gabbert gets a 6th-round pick and the Eagles have to end up cutting Deshaun
Watch
Jackson.
watch Kaepernick go down for a game or two, and Gabbert comes in and shines.
Hey,
Hey,
And then he's gonna go to
Harbaugh's the quarterback whisperer. I'm serious.
And then he's gonna go to I don't know what team it might be.
Buffalo.
Quarterback. Yeah, but
I'm not counting out Manuel yet.
maybe you
Tennessee,
and maybe Ken Whisenhunt takes him.
St. Louis. If Bradford
What
doesn't
I'm
work
saying
out,
is he's gonna play Matt Flynn type games and go and get a contract.
and
with
then
somebody.
probably shit the bed again. But
Yeah.
I just like what Jacksonville did minus the Ziggy Hood.
Gus Bradley, I think he might win at work out.
Yeah.
Ziggy Hood, I think.
I sent a screenshot of a tweet. Someone tweeted at me.
Oh.
He said this guy's a Jaguars fan. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm not gonna say his name. He said he'd rather have Ziggy Hood than DeMarcus Ware.
Oh yeah,
What does that even mean?
Are you kidding me?
I do remember that.
Cody, what does that mean to you?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It had to be your boy, what's his name, Dustin something, or the kid who wanted his NBA starting five.
Derek Bell.
Yeah, Derek Bell. It had to be Derek Bell.
The kid that he came for him on, remember, he said the Steelers got into the luck thing.
Oh, the kid.
Yeah, the kid.
Whatever. Yeah, I do like the Dakota Watson signing though for Jacksonville. He's gonna be a nice linebacker for them. I just not a lot
The
of.
Gus Bradley.
This is what I sent this text message to you guys in a group message. They haven't hit home runs. They're hitting a lot of singles, and that's okay with a franchise that's
Gus
being
Bradley.
in the gutter.
People want to play for Gus Bradley.
Seattle guy, he was dominant there. Was he defensive coordinator?
Yes.
Mhm.
He's gonna have that team playing smash
Get
mouth
a
football.
quarterback with them.
And guess what? That division is winnable because Indy's defense is garbage. They lost Bethea. They haven't replaced anyone defensively. I don't see Bjorn Werner working out for another year or so because he's
Are
switching.
you talking about the Colts?
Yeah,
You don't like what they've done?
defensively, no.
Dude,
I like DeQuell Jackson.
People had so much to say about Trent Richardson, but that's because he came on to an NFL team in the middle of the year. I'm sure Dimitri can say that coming onto an NFL team in the middle of a year being a running back is not easy.
It's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
No,
Because you
I'm
got to
not-
go
I'm not
through
ruling out that
protections.
shit.
So Trent Richardson is going to be fine next year,
Oh,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Let me ask you guys
and
this.
then they got Hakeem Nicks too.
I
right?
love that move. 1 year
too,
deal,
dude.
taking a bet on himself. He's
And
gonna
we
have a
just
big year.
we were talking about Andrew Luck. Oh man. Whew,
let me ask you. I think it's winnable
dirty.
because
Oh my God, their offense is nasty.
I think that division's winnable because Tennessee still a few years away. Houston, unless they get a quarterback in there and Bill O'Brien turns things around like that, like he did
I
at
don't
Penn
think
State,
it'll be immediate.
they're going to be a few years away.
The Colts have one of the best receiving cores in the game now.
They do, but Nick's probably isn't going to stay next year unless the Colts give him a long-term extension right
Well,
away.
he could because
He could.
maybe they dump Wayne after next year.
They
Maybe
probably do. But
Maybe they get that jewelry
Let
and
me-
he wants to stay.
you never know. Let me ask you guys this, though. Switching gears to the AFC West. How about what the Chargers did bringing in Donald Brown to make a three-headed monster at running back with Ryan Matthews, Danny Woodhead, and now Donald Brown?
Worked out pretty well for them last year, right? It was Ronnie Brown last year.
Where
Donald Brown, though, had a great year. I thought he was going to cash in somewhere as the starter, not a timeshare guy. He could have had that in Indianapolis.
That's the thing to do nowadays, apparently, that timeshare.
I just... Good move by San Diego, but Donald Brown made a big mistake, in my opinion. Made a big mistake. Losers of free agency. Kyle.
Loser?
Yes.
Come back to me. I can't even think of one right now.
I would say this is kind of a build-up from past mistakes, but I'll just go with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Just they had to dump a lot of people, and I mean, if Brandon Weeden is your most notable new move of the offseason, I don't know how successful that is.
I'm gonna go.
Don't do it again to me.
No, maybe.
The Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Go ahead.
You want me to
You
go
want the
ahead?
Chiefs? You want the? They did lose three-fifths of their starting
Yeah,
offensive
the
line.
Chiefs. They lost Albert, Dexter McCluster, who was definitely a key piece of their offense. McCluster.
They lost
Not only
Albert,
did he get the
Schwartz, and Asamoah.
yeah, and then no, actually they didn't really. And then who was the D-back that they lost to? Didn't they lose one? of
Javier
their-
Arenas.
They lost, and Kendrick Lewis.
Yeah, Kendrick Lewis, but he was only there for a year, right? Was
It
he?
was a couple years. He got
Okay,
the-
well,
They lost a lot.
I don't know. The Chiefs lost everybody and didn't get anything back.
I'll give you
so.
two, and I might raise some eyebrows. I'll say the Jets and the Browns. Now people are like, well, the Jets got a receiver and then they got Michael Vick.
Okay. They had a quarterback in a sense. I think Geno's a starting quarterback.
I think
Just
he
give
does
him
too.
weapons.
And I think Geno is better than what people give him credit for. He's a rookie quarterback.
He had nobody to throw to.
Yeah.
Stephen Hill was the worst first-round pick they could have had at that point.
Eric Decker, I'm not a fan of. I mean, I know
He's
you
productive. I know, granted, he was with Peyton Manning, but he was productive with Kyle Orton and Tim Tebow.
That's not even why. And that's the reason I don't like him is not because he played with Peyton Manning. I think his numbers got that. That's not why I'm saying. It's just he doesn't strike me as a number one receiver. And the Browns replacing DeQuell Jackson and T.J. Ward with Dante Whitner and Carlos Dansby.
Lateral moves.
Yeah.
Awful. I love T.J. Ward, but
But the Ben Tate deal
that wasn't bad. Was that 2 years?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I got a team. Oakland Raiders.
Oh,
Losing,
I was gonna say them.
should have
actually.
went there.
losing Lamar Houston. Jared Veld here. Rashad Jennings was supposed to be their starter because they were going to let McFadden walk, and then they lost Jennings to the Giants. I like that move for the Giants. They lose Mike Jenkins to the Bucks.
Who's their quarterback next year?
Matt Schaub.
They just traded for him.
That's another reason why I think they're a loser because they traded away what was it, a third-round pick?
Fourth.
For Matt Schaub. They're going to pay him $7.5 million to be their starter because Dennis Allen came out Sunday and said, building up to the draft, there are boxes that we have to check, and I think that the quarterback position has been checkmarked. Mike, Al Davis's son, what was his name? Mark Davis,
Mark, I think.
said that they wouldn't rule out signing Richie Incognito. That's horrible. That's awful. But Reggie McKenzie
Well, they got
said no comment. But
they got Woodley, Justin Tuck, Charles Woodson back, James Jones.
Austin
Woodley,
Howard,
Justin
Khalif Barnes.
Tucker.
Oh, they did get James Jones. Holla.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
a
sir.
Donald Penn.
James Jones and Charles Woodson. What are they trying to do here?
Reggie McKenzie from Green Bay, you dumb.
They got
Who?
Reggie
Kevin.
McKenzie, their general manager.
Listen, they got Kevin Booth too. I mean, they made some good moves, but I think letting your two best players from the previous year in Veld here and Houston walk.
Yeah.
That's not good. They paid Austin Howard the exact same amount that Jared Veld here got from Arizona.
It's the Raiders.
It is the Raiders.
It's the Raiders.
I don't know.
I mean,
Tuck and Woodley, those would have been good signings a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's sad to see
they
Tuck
both of
leave
them
the
got
Giants.
both of them got 2-year deals too.
But guys, we're gonna wrap up the show. I want one guy from the draft that no one's really talking about right now. Do you think it's gonna be great?
But I think it's gonna be great.
Great.
Give me yours.
Terrence West, Tosin.
Towson.
Terrence West is I've watched some tape of him. He's 5'11", 223, but he's good.
I'll say. I mean, if you gave me some prep for this, I could have gave you something different. But
Just off the top of the dome.
Top of the dome right now. People are talking about him because of his combine time. But Dre Archer.
I think he's gonna be a good weapon.
Yeah,
I think he's Darren Sproles 2.0.
What do you run, a 4.26?
Almost broke Chris Johnson's 4.24.
I think he just let off speed alone.
Yeah.
He's gonna be dynamite.
Yeah.
Dynamite. Wow.
Oh boy, Cody.
I would say, the receiver class is deep, so you're going to hear the names of a lot of those guys. But I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks, who kind of goes with the Deshaun Jackson situation. Kind of rumored as somebody they might look at. So I think he could be a pretty good receiver once he gets to the NFL.
Am I allowed to say Aaron Murray? Does that count?
That's a great choice.
Why not? Right? He can ball.
Only reason he's not being talked about because he's coming off an injured.
You also have Bruce Ellington from South Carolina, a good receiver that could be out. Will be out there.
Bryant from Clemson.
How about Brashawn Breeland from Clemson, corner?
There you go.
I'm not getting a lot of.
Which your boy
hype.
from Baylor's running back's coming in for the Steelers for a visit.
Lake Seastrunk.
Yep.
I'd be all right with that. I like Dante Moncrief from Ole Miss out there.
A lot of Steelers fans want him.
Shane Scove. Give me Shane Scove. Just give me one guy I want in the draft, Pittsburgh. All right, guys. That's going to do it for the free agency slash draft. Thursday on the Out of Bounds podcast.
Sesh.
We are recording Thursday. It will be out Friday. MLB preview.
Let's
we
do
are
it.
spending about an hour and 20 minutes breaking down the NL and the AL.
By Thursday, Kyle will all be tweeting about, we got to figure out this bet. What is going to be the outcome?
you really think that the Mets are gonna have more wins than the Yankees?
Not
Yes.
rehash this the 19th
This kid
time.
really thinks the Mets are gonna have more wins than the Yankees.
We'll discuss this off air, but again, we're gonna do the NL first, then we're gonna break down the AL. I want division winners, wild card, World Series, and award winners. So better come prepared.
Such a homer, dude.
You got some balls called him a homer, Mr. Yankee.
What do you mean?
First place in the AL East.
All right,
Whatever.
call it, Dimitri.
For the Out of Bounds podcast, I'm your host, Josh Carney. Assistant producers, Adam Clapp, Dimitri George, Kyle Condor, stopping in the booth, and Cody Benjamin doing a great job today. Hope to have you back soon. That's going to do it for the 15th episode.
All right, see ya.